I'm wondering, outside of the official, or outside of the obvious creative musical influences that you're getting out of traveling the world, Asia and Bali in particular, what have you learned that you can bring to your work, be it from a business side, from a lifestyle side, that is something you've learned in Bali that you've never learned in LA?
Patience.
Okay,
Patience doesn't work in Los Angeles.
no.
It's almost adversarial in some ways. And when you get outside of the United States, I mean, I'm assuming some of you are probably from outside the U.S. Things work at a different pace. You know, people aren't nearly as in a hurry. And I think the reason why, and no offense to L.A. and California, I love it. It was my home for 12 years. Um, when you're in a place, when you're rooted somewhere, um, you tend to start to think of that place as the sort of the end of the world. The end of the road, as it were, the pinnacle place where, hey, especially in Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world, right? Hey, we have everything we need here, and we're the best at what we do, right? And that you're going to run into that attitude a lot in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is where films are made. It's where television is made, and nobody does it better. And that's true to a certain extent. But it doesn't mean that it's the only place that's doing it, and it certainly doesn't mean that it's the only way it can be done. When I left the States and got outside of the bubble, what I call the entertainment industry bubble of Los Angeles, and I was able to really look back and see from a distance what was going on, I realized that, you know what, Los Angeles, yeah, it's a huge influence on the entertainment industry, but not like it used to be. Not like it was in the 60s and 70s during the golden age of television, during the golden age of auteur-oriented filmmaking, with Scorsese and Brian De Palma and people like that, Coppola, um, where people were really taking risks and really pushing the envelope, and the studios were letting them because they didn't know what would work. We didn't have these formulas. We didn't have to have 25 million stupid Superman movies. Um, uh, there were a lot more risks being taken back then. And not to sound like an old guy, I don't really have much romanticism for any particular era of cinema, but they were just taking a lot more risks. And out in the world, and the reason why they're not now is because they don't have time. They got stockholders to please. They've got people. They've got bottom lines to meet, and that stuff has to happen quickly, right? It's got to happen quickly because if they don't make their quarterly earnings, they get fired. And so they've got to make decisions quickly. They've got to greenlight things fast. Even if it's a cheap piece of crap, who cares, man? As long as the foreign is intact, the foreign box office sales are intact, do it. Just get it out there, do it. Who cares if it's, junk? Because everybody in China is going to love it. And that's, foreign box office is way more lucrative than domestic. And so, a great case in point is the most recent Avengers movie, or I guess not the most recent one, but the one before the Age of Ultron. Maybe that was the most recent one. I'm not sure, but Joss Whedon was told, make the dialogue as simple as you possibly can because we're going to translate it to Chinese, and it needs to be easy for people to understand. The theme of the film has to be easy for a Chinese person to understand. So make the dialogue as simple as you can for translation purposes. And he had to do it because that's his job. He's under contract. He's got to do what the studio tells him to do. So that's what they did. So if you watch that, go back and watch that movie from that perspective again, you'll be blown away at how freaking simply stupid it is. Like, it's just so stripped down and simple. Not stupid, but, simple. Very, very simple. And the reason why is because they needed to translate it, and they needed it to be very, very clear because they knew the Chinese box office was going to was going to eclipse their budget and allow them to break even on the film, and then all the domestic gross would just be icing on the cake. Those are the ways that decision making is happening today in the film business. And so that's a huge thing that I've learned being out, away from LA, being out in the world, is that the rest of the modern world, and even the developing world, is way more patient than us American, opportunists. We want everything now, and the majority of the world is like, hey, you know what? Take it easy, man. Hey, in Europe, man, we take 3 months off every year. Take it easy, man. Be cool. Like everybody just kind of has this attitude of you don't have to be in such a hurry, and that goes for career too. It goes for raising a family. It goes for work. It goes for projects. Take your time and do it right. Take your time and add detail into the things that you're doing instead of just hitting one button and letting the loop play and then writing something over the top of that. Take your time and actually go in and build the drum track rather than just using a pre-made patch. That prevailing attitude seems to be a big deal everywhere except for the United States. And I think it's applicable to a lot of different things, not just business or art or creativity, but, life in general. People just take their time more, Remember when I came back to LA the last time, I was just there in January with Brian at the NAMM show. And I couldn't believe I had just been there like 7 months prior, and I just could not believe the acceleration of people's impatience just in that 7 months. I had a snapshot in like April or May or June or something. And then I came back in January for the NAMM show, and it seemed like everybody's impatience level had just tripled, Way more honking on the freeway, way more freaking out in the grocery store, way more altercations at the gas pump. It's just like, man, what's going on around here, And it's just, I know it's just the acceleration of the world and the way that the world is developing, and everybody's mad at each other, and everyone's crazy, and Trump, and whatever, but it's very scary in comparison to what's going on in the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is like Netflix and chill, baby. What's up, It's very different. So patience, to put it in a context that's probably more relatable to you guys, man, just take your time with your careers, It's not going to happen overnight no matter how hard you work. All-nighters are not going to get you to the brass ring any faster than just being a little bit more laid back and taking it a little more easy and just letting things develop as they will. I mean, work hard, apply yourself, don't screw around, don't watch frickin' Game of Thrones, don't waste time, apply your craft and work really hard. But at the same time, let yourself breathe. Look up every once in a while. Go out with friends. Have fun. Be 20-something, 30-something people, Do those things that you're supposed to do when you're that age, because you have all the time in the world, and the industry's not going anywhere, The music industry is not folding before your very eyes. There's no reason to rush. There's no reason to race to the end. It's going to be there in whatever variation it's going to be there by the time it's time for you to arrive,